we go. Okay. So we're holding on Chav Gimel Amud Beis. We're in the middle of a lengthy question. So for the sake of lengthy question, we're going to pick up, Rav Shagi, we're going to pick up from the top line, Chav Gimel Amud Beis. We're going to do a little Chazara first, just because it's the type of thing that you have to know what's going on. Umi Omer Abaya. Does Abaya say Rav Meir is chayish lamisa, v'Rav Yehuda lo chayish? Does Rav Meir say, Rav Menachem Shalom, does Rav Meir say that Rav Yehuda is not worried, Rav Meir is worried? This goes back to Rav Meir that said you're not allowed to make an animal as a wall for your sukkah. Abaya said, why? Because the animal might drop dead. So asks the Gemarah on Abaya, not on Rav Meir. The fact that Rav Meir says you can't use an animal for a sukkah, that's not a debatable point at the moment. We're asking on Abaya. Abaya said the reasoning of Rav Meir is because the animal might drop dead. Says the Gemarah, does Abaya himself really hold that? What's the kasha? About to now learn to the Mishnah. I'm going to read this part a little bit fast as it's a Chazara, time 3 or 4. Bas Yisrael, Shenisis L'Koyin. A Bas Yisrael is married to a Koyin. The husband goes overseas. The wife, she's not keeping eating chuma. Bechezkas, with the assumption, with the chazaka, shukaya. Husband's alive, we assume he stays alive. In English, what does that mean? There's no Shema Tamus. We're not afraid he's going to die. We assume he's alive. V'ramina na'ala, and we ask a stira, a contradiction on that, a different case. Case 2. So it says, here is my get. Here's your get, actually. 1 moment before I die. Husband gives wife a get, very romantic, and says to her, I want to stay married to you. Hopefully the next who knows how many years. But the moment before I die, boom, this get should kick in. Thereby making it that when he dies, she is a divorced woman. He's not leaving her behind. Nafkamina, practical ramifications, yibum, and whatnot. So what's the halacha in this case? Says the Mishnah. Asura lechol b'truma miyad. Right away, she cannot eat truma. What does that mean? Right away, she cannot eat truma? Because every moment, it might be very good. The moment before he dies.
Wouldn't that be a lot more problematic?
What do you mean?
If you're worried that can't eat truma because maybe he's going to die in a moment, then they can't have yeast.
Very good question. These are very good questions. You're asking a very good question. You're saying, how in the world can they stay married?
Yeah.
Very good. Good question. But I don't know the answer. It's a very good question. I could suggest an answer, but let's leave it as a good question for the moment. So, if every moment, so what do we see in this Mishnah? That we're, yes, afraid he's going to die. What's that called? That's a good old-fashioned contradiction. On one hand, you said, we're not afraid he's going to die. On the other hand, we're afraid he is going to die. Amar Abaye, the one that we're discussing, he himself answered, Loi kasha. It's not a contradiction. Ha Rebbe Meir, the loi chayish lamisa. The first Mishnah is Rav Meir, who's not worried about death, and that's why she can continue eating truma. We can really pause right here. That's the question. Because we just said a moment ago, if you look up to the second line of the Gemarah, Rav Meir is, yes, chayish lamisa. And here we're saying Rav Meir is not chayish lamisa. That's the kasha. Harav Yehuda the chayish lamisa. Period. Now, really, we could stop here. The Gemarah just answered, Abaya answered, this is Rav Meir, this is Rav Yehuda. And now, for our purposes, we have a stira. But the Gemarah now goes and proves Abaya's answer, which is in essence proving a question. Because once we prove Abaya's answer, now it's a contradiction to our sugya of whether a Meir holds or a chayish lamisa. So we're sort of proving an issue, which in your mind you're going to have to realize now, however we're going to answer up the stira, we're going to have a problem in the back of our brain. What about this proof that we're about to bring? But let's go. De Tanya. Like we learned in a brisa. So again, what's this brisa going to say? That's the big picture we just said. Now let's zoom in. What's the brisa going to say? This brisa going to prove that Rav Meir is not worried about Misa, and Rav Yehuda is, yes, worried about Misa. Before we read the brisa, let's just say one detail. What does it mean you're worried about Misa? What that means is you're worried that something's going to change. You're worried this person's going to drop dead. You're worried. What does that mean? Let's see. Titania. Someone bought wine from the Kutim. Who are the Kutim? Kutim were problematic people for all of eternity. And they were Yidin, they weren't Yidin, they were Megayer and converted, they weren't converted, they were Megayer for real purposes, they were Megayer for bad purposes, were they real Gerim, were they not real Gerim? Big confusion. But one thing is sure, they were not makbid on separating the appropriate Trumas and Meisers from their food. So if you were ever invited over to a Kuti's house, you cannot touch that food. We assume that the food is treif until you go and you separate Trumas and Meisers. Anyone who ever lived in Eretz Yisrael, you realize Trumas and Meisers are a real thing. Even Mizman Hazeh. You can't just go to a farm and take an apple or an orange or anything. 1 second, we're Trumas and Meisers taken off. The 10th, the Kayin, the Levi, all the good stuff. So someone buys wine from Kutim. That detail teaches us that wine right now, for all intents and purposes, is treif. You're not allowed to eat it. What do you need to do? Take off the appropriate Trumas and Meisers. Beautiful. Problem is, it's Erev Shabbos, and he doesn't have any time. He doesn't have time to go to the barrel and take off a 10th for this and a 10th for this. So what does he do? He does the following. Oimer. He says. He doesn't do any action. He does words. He says, Shnei lugin. It's a barrel of 100 lug. So 2 lugin, shani osid lahafrish, that in the future, sha'ani, that I, osid, in the future, lahafrish, I am going to separate Hare Hein Truma. They are Truma. So he gives the Kayin 2 lugin. Does he actually give it to the Kayin? No. Does he do anything? No. The barrel sits there untouched. He says, pledges it, the good old-fashioned pledge, and as we're going to see, Truma works b'machshava. So him saying it makes it work. So inside this big barrel right now has 2 cupfuls, just for simplistic purposes, of something that belongs to whom? Not me. The Kayin. Beautiful. Next. Asara. Now he takes off 10. So what does he have left now? 98. He has to take a 10th. What's a 10th of 98? 9.8. The Gemarah says 10. What in the world happened? Ayin in large tases, which we don't have time to look at. But let's just say that the Gemarah is using round numbers. You're not allowed to say that. Let's leave it for now. Asara, he takes 10 lugin, Meiser Rishon, and he gives off to Meiser Rishon. Tisha, then he takes 9, because what does he have left now? 88, let's just call it 90. Now he takes off a 10th of that, which is 9, and he gives it to Meiser Sheni. Now, he doesn't do anything. He says these words. The barrel is untouched. So now floating in that barrel is stuff for the Kayin and stuff for the Levi. It's all floating inside. Umeichal, and it transfers. V'shoiseh miyad. What does it mean, umeichal? Umeichal means he transfers it onto cash. Pulls out some money. Obviously, look at that. I have some money in me. He pulls out some money. Is that Israeli money? No. He pulls out some money and he says that in that barrel is on this cash. So this cash is Kadosh. This belongs to the Kayin. This belongs to the Levi. This belongs to Trumas Meiser Sheni. He takes it, he puts it on the side. But now what can he do? Now he can go to that barrel and he can drink to his heart's content. He can have Kiddush now. Why? What happened? You didn't take off Trumas and Meisers. Yes, I did. I took them off and I put it on to the money. Okay. Now,
if he doesn't move to the money, can he still drink and leave over at the end?
He might be drinking something else. Now, one second. The Meichal, good question. I didn't clarify this point. Everyone look at Rashi on the first white line. What are you being Meichal? Only the Meiser Sheni. Meiser Sheni is in years 1, 2, 4, and 5. Meiser Sheni, you take and you eat in Yerushalayim. So the Meiser Sheni doesn't belong to the Kayin Levi, it belongs to you. But you have to eat in Yerushalayim. So that's what you're putting, excuse me, I said it wrong. That's why you had your question. The Meiser Sheni he puts on the cash. This cash I'm going to travel to Jerusalem and buy a good falafel with. Well, yeah, not falafel. I'm going to buy some good produce with. But it's only the Meiser Sheni I'm putting on the money.
What's the Chiddush? That's standard procedure.
Correct. We're just saying what you're going to do. Everything else, which is now answering your question, the Truma and the Meiser is still in that barrel. In the barrel, the Kayin has 2 cups, the Levi has 10 cups. Good? Good.
Drink it though.
Oh, am I allowed to drink it? Yeah. So now, Vishoyse miyad. Different Meir. I could go and I could take a cup. Now, 1 second. I take my cup. I go inside. I open the tap. I take out a cup of wine. How do I know that in my cup, I don't have something that belongs to the Kohen or the Levi? How in the world can I know that? That's called Breira. What is Breira? Breira means, literally, Hovrar hadavar lemafreya. Retroactively, I say that was that and this was this. So halachically, I'm allowed to say that when I take out this cup, I know that I'm leaving behind in the barrel the meiser. I'm leaving behind the truma. How could I say that? It's called Breira. It's a big sugya. That's how it happens. Retroactively, meaning after Shabbos, when I go and I take that cup and I give it to the kohen, retroactively, that's what I originally said is now there.
So in a non-Meiser Sheni year.
It's Meiser Ani. Good. It's Meiser Ani, and therefore you'd have to do a Meiser Ani and not Meiser Sheni. Beautiful. So now, Divrei Rameir. Now, what's Rameir? Let's recalibrate. What are we looking for? What does Rameir hold? Deloi Chayish Lamisa. What in the world is Chayish Lamisa over here? It's called the Chayish that the barrel's going to break. Just like you're afraid someone's going to die. 1 second. I'm drinking this cup of wine. How? Because I know on Monday I'm going to go take out something and give it to the kohen. 1 second. How do I know it's going to be there on Monday? Just like, how can I eat truma right now? How do I know the guy's alive? So Rameir holds Loi Chayish Lamisa, which it translates into Loi Chayish, that the barrel's going to break. Reb Yehuda, look at the top of Chav Dalid. Reb Yehuda, V'Rav Yosi, V'Rav Shimon, Oisrin. They say you're not allowed to do this. And if you look at the top Rashi explains why not. Because we say it's a gezerah, maybe the barrel is going to break. So this was our raya. End of Brisa.
This is only a problem because you wanted to take out.
Correct.
If the barrel's full, you didn't take anything out of break. You're not necessarily.
Correct. Because you didn't do anything. Correct. If you want to drink from it, the question is, can I drink? According to our mayor, drink to your heart's content. What do you mean? Maybe the barrel will break tomorrow. We're not worried about that.
Okay, but sukkah is different.
Oh, we have to go back to sukkah. Very good. Good. So this was what?
For breaks, you can still say that was the truma that broke.
No, there's not going to be nothing left. It's going to break. You're going to lose all the truma nice. You're going to lose up the whole thing.
But still, what I drank was
No, then what I drink was treif. Because the kohen never got his stuff. Only if the kohen eventually gets his stuff, then I could say lemafrei retroactively what I ate was kosher. But if it never goes to the kohen, it's a big problem. So now, this was a brisa. Now we can put the whole picture together. We had our din by sukkah. By sukkah, Rameir said the animal is not allowed to be on the wall of the sukkah. Why is the animal not allowed to be on the wall of the sukkah? Because we're afraid that the animal's going to die. By us, on Amid Beis, we had two cases now. The Rameir said, we're not afraid. Case number 2 is that the barrel's not going to break. Case number 1 is that the husband's not going to die and the wife could continue eating truma from her husband, the kohen. So we have 3 cases. 1 contradicts 2. Our Mishnah of Sukkah, that Rameir says is pasul, meaning we're afraid the animal's going to die, contradicts these 2 cases. Number 1, the fact that the Bas Yisrael is not allowed. My brain is starting off. The fact that the Bas Yisrael is allowed or not allowed? Allowed to eat truma, thank you. Why is he allowed to eat truma? Because we're not afraid, thank you. Because we're not afraid that he's going to die. And in the barrel, you're allowed to drink the wine because we're not afraid it's going to break. So 3 cases, 1 contradicting 2. Now, after such a beautiful question and a whole wonderful build-up, you'd expect a beautiful answer. Comes on the Gemarah, which unfortunately we like to call these a little bit of the cop-out answers. Says that if we were to go back, if we were to underline what's the line in the Gemarah of the Kasha, it's where V'Amar Abaye, 5 lines from the bottom of Chav Gimel Beis, he said, Loi Kasha, Harameir, Harav Yehuda. We had 2 different cases, and Abaye said, this is this, and this is this. Says the Gemarah, Epoch. Switch it around, and we're going to stop over here. Rameir is yes chayish, and Rav Yehuda is not chayish. And then tomorrow we're going to have to put it all together. But the only way that this puzzle will be able to be put together tomorrow is if we do a chazara and we get all the moving pieces. It seems like the Chaver does have it very clear, but let's quickly do a chazara. B'siyata Shmaya tomorrow we'll pick up from the Teretz, and then we're going to have to rewrap all loose ends with sukkah and this and that and figure that